welcome everyone to one more cmBuilder user workshop. Today our theme is Jurassic Park, and we just use the movies as a reference because we want to make a pun with the name, But Jurassic site, Jurassic Park. Yeah, you got it. So welcome everyone. So let's go through the agenda for today. We're going to talk a little bit about some new features. So the first one is going to be the timeline function. And after that, we are going to work with the Revit imports and duplicates. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our import schedule update and some tips on top of that. Along with that, tips on the video export tool and tips and tricks in general. Okay. So let me get out of presentation mode because this confuses me a lot. Yeah.
Can I cut you off, Pedro? So just maybe you're gonna get there, but I'm the triage person today. So if you have questions throughout the event, just pop it into the Q&A or the chat. And Pedro's gonna be plugging away, and I'll just grab those questions and yell at you when we have questions. So you don't need to wait till the end. If something pops up and you have a question, put it in the chat or the Q&A. We'll go from there.
Yes, and as usual, the recording will be available in 24 hours, and you are always invited to check our previous workshops on YouTube. We have a lot of good stuff in there, to the point that now, like whenever some people ask questions, we already cover those elements on the workshops. We will send them like a little snip of the video on the workshop because it's kind of like comprehensive with these features, okay? So let's start with the timeline function. This was a function that a lot of people have requested, and it's something that we recently updated our platform to have this timeline view over here in the bottom. And the couple things about this feature is that it will allow you to have better presentations whenever you are developing in like creating your video or sharing this with a customer, or even like you want to see what is the whole progress of your simulation and things like that, because now you can have a complete view of that project duration on the bottom of your screen. And it's also like a customizable interface where you can add your branding, you can add change the colors of the presentation, and so on and so forth, right? So let's jump right into it, and I'll talk a little about the things that are coming soon. Okay. So let's open this. A couple people have asked on email like, oh, I'm trying to show up my presentation now and I cannot find anymore on the link over here, the hide milestone date, right? So this happened because we moved all of these configurations for the presentation inside the presentation, the markup tool. So when you click on this, you will see over here on the top, the customization of your presentation timeline. We're going to get there in a second. I'm just going to play from the beginning over here so we can see what it looks like, right? So let me just hide this taskbar over here. How do I hide this? I'll go taskbars. 1 second. Okay, it's just because my taskbar is not going down as it was used to do. But like you can see over here in the bottom, the timeline function, right? So when you're playing, you can see it highlights the milestone that you're active at the moment, and you can see the distribution of all the milestones that you're going to have coming next and where they are in like the sense of the progress of your construction site, right? So you can see the start date over here and the end date over here as well. And over here on the top, you have a different view of the milestone command. Right before, it was like we were using the same milestone manager view over here on the top, but we changed this to the side where you can customize this a little bit more, right? So if I just go back over here, you can see that we can customize all of those elements in your view by clicking on this presentation timeline over here on this little gear. In here, you can define what are the things that you want to show on your presentation, right? So for example, display label, you can turn this off completely, right? With the label with the information about your milestones. In terms of date settings, you can choose if you want to show relative dates, like the counting per like milestone, if it's a week, if it's a month, or if you want to show the absolute dates, which are the dates of your milestones, or if you want to show both, right? So this is an option that you have. And in terms of like the counting of milestone, weeks, and months, you can define this unit by going in here and then going to view and defining in this view what is the time unit that you want to use for your timeline. Okay, so when you change this time unit from this view over here, weekly, monthly, and index, this will change just for the session that you are at the moment. However, if you change those on your user settings, if you go in here and define what is your preference for your milestone display, this will be applied for every project that you're in, right? So, but it's a user setting, so it doesn't share across different users. Every user can define their own preferences, okay? And you can also decide if you want to display over here in the bottom, what is the next milestone that's going to show up or not. And if you want to use the timeline bar or if you don't. So you can change the colors already of these views, right? So you can like define different colors for these elements. Let me get a color that's a little bit different. So orange, and then white for the names, and then the timeline color will be red. So you can go and put in like the main colors of your company in here. And you can also decide if you wanted to display the logo of your company while you're playing the milestone, right? So, playing the presentation. So now if I hit play over here, I can see the name of my company. Yeah.
Pedro, to cut you off, just to go back to that view, one clarification. So that customization of the volume bottom, the branding, and being able to customize the colors to your company branding, that's only available for a premium enterprise, just so you know. So if you don't see those down there, it doesn't come with standard. So that logo is just pulling, those options for logos are pulling from the centralized branding features. Exactly. So if you have your client's logo, so if you want to use that, your client's logo on a pursuit or something like that, it'll just pop up there as one of the options.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So you can customize all of that, and after you do those customizations, they will be applied to the view over here. Okay, so there's something going on with my Windows that it's blocking the commands that are behind this taskbar. But behind the taskbar, you have the commands over here to go back and forth in the milestone, to hit pause on it, and to exit and the slide presentation and so on. The buttons are behind this view over here, but I don't know why Windows is locking this for me. However, on your end, you'll be able to see them properly. But keep in mind that you will only see these commands if you hover your mouse onto the timeline. The timeline will go up and show the commands in the bottom. Okay. So this is one feature that a lot of customers have requested, and we were very happy of like how it showed up. If you started using this already and you have comments on like things that you would like to change and so on and so forth, just send us a quick email or put your own thoughts over here on the feature request. We love hearing about your ideas of new features, because this is the moment where like it's still adjusting the design or like making little adjustments to it. So this is a good moment for you to provide your feedback. Okay.
Yeah,
so
just a heads up to that. This first release has, I think next week or the week after, we have more stuff coming to the timeline.
Exactly.
So this is
what
an iterative process. Yeah.
So the coming soon stuff that's coming in the next weeks is the horizontal navigation. So basically, you will be allowed to. I think I have a scenario over here that I can do that already. It's this one. So you will be allowed to go into your timeline, and then you can drag this little command over here to see thumbnails of your presentations and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting way to consume this information as well, right? So there's kind of like horizontal navigation on the timeline. Another one is the unit settings. You'll be able to change the unit settings inside the customization of the timeline feature in the auto fit of the progress bar. So for projects that are quite long, you will see that the end date will show up like outside of this range that we have over here, but you will have an option to auto fit this to the width of your screen. So all the timeline of your project will be cramped inside this width. Right now, if your end date is outside of the screen, your timeline will scroll once the little progress cursor is over here in the middle. So the timeline starts scrolling. Okay. Cool. So let us know what you guys think about this, and we are happy to listen to those feedback. Okay. So next function that I want to touch base in is Revit imports and duplications of models. So now, finally, we have a Revit import function. I'm so happy about this one because a lot of customers, they don't have a Revit license or they don't have access to someone that can do conversions for them. And now you can simply take the Revit file and bring directly to cmBuilder, right? So without having to acquire a Revit license if you want to do conversions, right? Of course, our team is always available to help with model conversions. If there is any need for you to adjust your model, just get in touch with us. We can help you with that. But also a great thing about this Revit edition is that you now expand the ACC integration, right? So a lot of projects we rely on the ACC integration to have the models showing up on their end. So now if you go into your ACC integration, this one here. So now when you have a model, a project that is already linked to an ACC project, in the documents page over here, you'll be able to see the list of the models that are already available in cmBuilder, and then the integration items that you can bring from your ACC connection, right? So before we couldn't do that, but now you can see the Revit files over here, and you can choose which files you want to convert into to bring into this project. Okay, so this is a great thing that will help a lot of users, and yes, that's it. So just go ahead, try that, use that, and let us know how it goes for you. And also on top of that, we have a duplication of a model. So now once you bring in a model inside your scenario or anything like that, you can actually add more instances of the same model inside the platform, right? Oh, inside the scenario, right? So for example, these are 2 duplicates of the same model, and there are a couple ways for you to duplicate the model in here. So one is that you can click on this button and then you hit duplicate, and this will add an instance of that model for you in the same location as the previous one. And then you can go ahead and change whatever you want to change in this, and so on and so forth, right? Or you can go into browse existing files, and then you can select the models that you want to upload again. So you can see over here that there are 3 copies in use of this model in this scenario. Okay. Also, another thing is that you can go to, if you're inside the scenario, if you're working and you know that you have like models available on the ACC, you can simply come in here and go fetch those models directly from your scenario. You don't need to get out and go into the document page or anything like that. You can simply search the model from this list and bring it into your scenario. Okay. So another thing that I would like to mention as well is that several models that comes from like Revit or any other CAD software out there, most of the times you won't have too much control about how these models were created, right? So you don't know exactly what is the origin point of those models, if they are geolocated, if they're not, and so on and so forth. So if that's the case, if you don't know exactly how that model was created, and just want to do like a quick import and you don't want to go through all those hoops on defining geolocation, things like that, just keep in mind that whenever your model comes into cmBuilder by default, when you click on move, the handles of movement of this model, they are placed on the project origin. So project origin is basically the origin point for this model on the source file, right? So if your Revit file, if you brought it in here and then the Revit is using project origin as your main database, the base point, this is what you're going to see. Also, there is an option for you to export using survey points, using the internal base points and things like that. So all of those will define how the origin point in cmBuilder will be displayed, right? So sometimes you will open a model and you click on move and you won't see the moving actions over here. It's because this origin point is too far from the geometry of your model. Okay, so whenever this happens, you can either zoom out to search for that, but sometimes the the handles will be shown like super far away because the model is geolocated and stuff like that. You can always come in here and click on project origin and change the handle location to the bounding box center. So basically what this does, it takes the geometry of your model and calculates what a bounding box around that geometry and puts the handles exactly in the middle, right? So it's a faster way for you to locate these handles and also move things without using, like moving it freely without using like a reference of a base point or a survey point or anything like that. Cool. But of course, we have geolocation available. There's a lot more that we can do in terms of positioning the models automatically and so on and so forth. But this is something that we already covered in another workshop. But if you guys want to listen me babble a little bit more about this feature, just let us know. We can include that in the next workshop. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Another quick thing that I want to touch base on this model imports and things. It's not new, but it's something that I've noticed that sometimes people don't know that much, is that whenever you import a model and you see that some faces of those models are missing, especially on FBX models, it means that the materials and the surface is being rendered on the opposite side. What does that mean, right? So 3D softwares, they have to save up the performance to optimize what you're seeing while it's rendering live. So sometimes, like for example, this wall, the model won't, the viewer won't render the whatever is happening on the back of this wall, right? So when you look on this way, then you can see the back of that wall, right? So whenever you're noticing that you can see geometries from one side but not the other, is because on the origin file, it was organized that way. And then you can come in here and then click on this to show materials on both sides. It won't make any difference on this one because this model was like a Revit file, and usually Revit files are quite okay with that. But you might notice that on FBX models and sometimes on IFC models as well. So whenever that happens, just click on in here, and then you can visualize the full rendering of all sides of the surfaces. Okay. Any comments, Javi?
Yes, I do. Lately been getting more questions around the ACC integration. By launching RVT support, it obviously unlocks a lot more value with that ACC integration. Can you just quickly show how people can find the information on how to set it up?
Yes. So just click on the question mark, and then you can go into the user guide and type in ACC in here, and like all the pages that are related to that will show up. Or you can simply open our support center and look for it over here as well, right? So I suggest going into, I think they are in the getting started or site plan features. I organized this and I don't remember where the pages are. Amazing, right? Integrations. So, okay, it's inside integrations. Come on, Pedro, stop clicking things. Okay, integrations, right? So in here, you can find like all the information. Cool. So I'm gonna just put these on the chat, and you can always reach out to that if you want to see.
Yeah, so the most important thing is the first setup to your ACC instance. I believe you need to have your like ACC admin set it up on your side, right? So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. But if you have any questions or issues setting up the integration, let us know, and then you'll be able to link and sync models automatically directly from ACC to cmBuilder inside the scenario.
Yep. This is one of the main features, main uses for the ACC integration. Another one is for you to have like a live link between different versions of the model. So if your model, Revit model, is updated on the ACC side, you get notified in cmBuilder that there is a new version available, just like this over here. And then you can click to sync the model from the integration. Like we will take the latest version of the integration and bring it over here to cmBuilder, right? And the other use case is that you can use cmBuilder as an embedded experience inside ACC. So for some people, that has some value to simplify having too many access to too many things. Okay.
We're definitely open to feedback on the next thing to connect from ACC. So we've had some people mention schedules, like linking, if you have ACC, you have like a P6 schedule, an ACC or something like that. So if
Drawings
you
as well.
have feedback for us, drawings, just let us know, and we'd love to hear from you what the next most valuable thing we can connect from ACC to cmBuilder is, and we'll using your kind of feedback, we'll prioritize that in the roadmap.
Exactamundo. And one thing that I would like to show is that, like, coming soon, we will have the same IFC filters that are applied to whenever you import an IFC model. We will also apply those to the Revit files. At the moment, whenever you import a Revit file, it will show exactly the same geometry that you have whenever you open that file in Revit, right? So just keep that in mind, that if there is any filtering that you need to do or things like that, you will need to do on the Revit side. But once you bring in into cmBuilder, you can still delete like the options, the classes and things that you're not going to use. Okay, so for example, in a model like this one over here, that is a Revit model, if I want to go ahead and, like, let me find this one, this guy. If I want to go ahead and open the IFC structure over here, I can see that all the columns, footings, slabs, and walls are defined in here. So like, if for any reason I imported like a Revit file that had furniture in it or something like that, you can always go in here and search for that IFC class. So in this case, I'm going to just put in like footing. And then this will isolate the tree structure to show only footings. And then you can select from like one of the models, you can right click, go to edit model element, and then you can delete those parts from your model from here. Okay, so we already covered that on the previous workshop, but I just wanted to link that on the aspect of like deleting parts from models that you have recently imported. Cool. But this is coming soon. We will apply those same IFC features whenever you bring the Revit file. And this is something that I really, really want to touch base with you guys. Okay, so a lot of people, whenever they import IFC files, they simply click OK on this page over here. So which page I'm talking about? This guy. When if I want to import a Revit, an IFC model in here, let me upload a new model. So this guy. So whenever you upload an IFC model, this page will show up for you. So this is an important page because a lot of times your IFC file will have categories of elements that you don't want to import, right? So this is something that, like, sometimes you get an IFC file from a consultant and you don't know exactly what is inside. You just want to use them in cmBuilder right away. So I suggest that whenever you import that in here, define what are the things that you want to convert and things that you don't want to convert. Okay, otherwise your performance might take a hit, right? So furniture, all of these small elements like fixtures, ceiling parts, elevator parts, all of those things that are quite complex in terms of like geometry will affect your performance. It will also create like a model that is harder for you to work because there are too many parts and those parts are not affecting your logistics at all. So always try to go through this whenever you are importing that. And you can also set up like your own template for things that you always import, right? So if I confirm this upload right now, for example, all of these elements that are turned off, they will not come into my view, right? And you can also define the template that you want for yourself by clicking on user settings and then going to import, and then you can define your template over here, right? I keep this on because sometimes I want to make that decision like and decide on the go. But if you want to always convert IFC models in the same way, turn this off and that window won't show up when you bring an IFC file. Coolio. Okay, so coming on to the next item on my list over here is the import schedule feature, right? So this is just one quick update that happened on the layout on the visuals. So we removed the button for you to import a schedule in here. You can manage your schedule, right? But like when you click on this, it will open the milestone manager list, that the same list that you can open when you click on this button over here. And now the import schedule function is over here on the top, right? So if you have your P6 file, your Excel file, project files and Power Project files, you will import them from here. However, there's one thing that I would touch base and I will just like jump right into it. Is one of the tips and tricks that I wanted to talk about today is the CSV import formatting. I've noticed that sometimes people will import a CSV file without matching that file with the template that we have in the platform. So you should always check the download template over here. So this will just download a CSV file that you can use, and then you can create your schedule from here and then import that file into cmBuilder, right? So the two main important things about this view is that you have to put your dates with this format over here, and also you have to keep this these headers, right? So once you do that, the CSV will work fine, but sometimes you try to bring in something that doesn't have those templates and it won't work. So the end date and parent ID are optional, but keep in mind that we always, whenever I'm explaining about the import schedule, I mentioned that we should always prioritize the end dates. So in this template over here, if you want to bring, you should define like the end date as your tasks, as the date of your milestone. You can just put them in here as a start date. It doesn't matter, right? In cmBuilder, they will show up duplicated. Cool. If you like if you don't put the end date, whenever you import that file, the end date and the start date will be the same in cmBuilder. Okay. And then once you link the schedule, they will show up in here on this list, and you will be able to start working with that. Cool, cool, cool. Let me see if I open a project over here that already has a linked schedule. So you can see that the schedule example is the linked file, and I can unlink that file, or I can edit the schedule from here as well. So basically all the other options that you had on those cards now are on the milestone manager. So just to help people understand more and work with this a little bit faster. Okay. Going into the next step. So the next step is a lot of text. I should have done a better job on this. The next step on the video exports is just best practices on how to export your video. Okay, so sometimes like you're working with a model that is too heavy, or your computer is not buffy enough, or something like that. So these are just like a little bit of best practice to make the whole video export, the presentation to show up like a little bit smoother, and the camera movements to work a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing that I'm showing over here is that whenever you click on the presentation for the first time on your session, and you hit play from the beginning, this action, if you're playing this for the first time on that session in whatnot, this first play will play a little bit slower, because we are kind of like loading in these camera movements and all the information that is being displayed on your screen into your cache, right? So one thing that I suggest is for you to play the whole presentation once without recording the video, right? So just hit play, let it play the presentation as a whole, and then it will kind of like load that presentation movement and all those things into your computer. And once you're done with that first pass, you can then go into the hit recording of your presentation video, right? Because now the movements and the milestone loadings will be a little bit faster. Okay, so this is important for you to get like a smoother transitions between one and the other. And also this is like a small one, click on the first slide before starting the recording to avoid clipping the video, right? So sometimes like I want to start recording my video and I'm looking at this milestone, but when I hit share, go to presentation video and hit next and whatnot, like this will have, there will be a camera movement from where I was to the first slide on my presentation. So it's kind of like a little, kind of like part of the video that you're never going to use. So you could, before you start recording your video, I suggest that you start from the default slide, click on the default slide, the first slide, sorry, or on the cover slide if you have one, to apply that view to your screen, and then you start recording the video, right? So this is like a quick way for you to not have like a weird camera movement in the beginning that you don't control. Okay, so this is another one that like it's quite obvious because we explain about this a lot on the presentations, is also on the training sessions, is that even if you go through all of this and your camera movement is still a little bit choppy because of like the amount of information that it's in your scenario, we suggest you record with slower speeds, and then you can speed it up with video editing tools, right? So basically what I'm talking about is go to the presentation videos, and in here you define a slower speed for you to record, and then the video would take a little bit longer to record, 4 times more longer, right? But the camera movements will be a little bit smoother because you're gonna take this video that it's lower and you're gonna speed it up on another video editing software. As usual, I always suggest that you use ClipChamp because it's a free software from Microsoft that is very easy, and it takes the WebM format that comes out of cmBuilder natively. So it's a great tool for you to work with your videos, and has everything that you need to produce a nice output from cmBuilder. Okay. This one over here, use the best monitor available. And oh, sorry, there's one thing that I forgot to mention. So keep in mind that you might need to adjust the animation speeds of your vehicles and like whatever is moving using our visual graph. Whatever you created an animation for, you might need to adjust this speeds accordingly if you slow down the recording of the video. The reason why is because the visual graph is still like on beta stage, and whenever you slow down the video recording, it does not apply to the animations yet. So you should adjust that before you start recording the video. So you're gonna make the animations like last longer, the durations of the path and of the speed, the movement speed to be a little bit slower. Cool. Next one is to use the best monitor available and set it up with the best display resolution that you can have to record with a better quality. What does this mean? Is that if you have a 4K monitor, if you have an 8K monitor, if you have something that is quite nice in terms of like display quality for resolution, you should use that monitor to record instead of like a 1080p resolution monitor or like something or full HD or something like that, because we use the resolution of your screen to record the video, right? So if you have a better screen, the resolution will be better, right? So on top of that, you might need to go into your Windows controls to take that display and set it up with the highest resolution possible over here. And this might cause all the icons to go smaller. And if that happens, you can also adjust the zooming function over here on the layout, or you can adjust the zooming on the browser itself, right? Oh, so I'm going to need to refresh this. So you can adjust the zooming of the browser over here as well if like the commands, well, what's going on? I think my WebGL thing, oh, I think I'm going to need to reopen this whole thing again. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, let's see if this is going to load this browser again. I need to close Chrome as a whole. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. So this is an issue that is an interesting one for us to talk about as well. So what just happened is that I changed the configuration of my site, of my screens and whatnot, the displays, and this affected how my graphics card is rendering the 3D environment on the browser. So this is something related to the graphics card relationship with the browser. So this might happen if you're changing too many graphic things at once. So always when that happens, you're gonna see a little error message over here in the bottom saying WebGL lost connection with something. I don't know what's the text of that message. Just close the browser and open again, and you won't lose any of your work, right? Because everything is auto-saved. Next step on this is to enable full screen before you're hitting record, right? So just hit F11 to enable the full screen, because the reason why that we suggest that is that because when you recording the video, as you can see over here, it's recording only this area, right? The area below the blue. So there is a whole area over here on the top that are the commands on the browser that is being wasted. And it's good for you to like record the whole thing, because then like it will give you a better ratio of the video, and even the quality of the video will be better because the resolution is applied to the whole simulation. And this last one is just one quick way for us to manage the slide transitions and things like that. So get out of this. Basically, if you go in here and let me duplicate this scenario without the presentation to show what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead over here, duplicate this scenario, and I'm going to choose to not have the presentation on my duplicate. So I can start my duplicate from scratch. You can choose whatever you're duplicating if you want to bring in all the data, all the information from one scenario to the other, or if you want to keep just a few of them. But basically, if you go over here in the presentation markup, now everything is cleared, right? So this last tip over here is to keep the default slides with quicker slide durations to adjust the transition between the milestones. What I mean by that? So if whenever you're applying the presentation, you're creating like a slide transition. If I go into the second slide over here and I capture a camera angle, the moment that I'm playing my presentation, the presentation plays on this order, right? So it starts from the top and goes all the way to the bottom. And the milestone tab over here that you see, consider that as an item of your presentation as well with 0 duration. So it will, the milestone changes, like whatever is visible and invisible on your site, will be applied before the next slide starts playing, actually at the same time. So if there is a camera movement right in the beginning of your milestone, it means that the software needs to render the milestone changes and apply the camera angles at the same time. So this will cause, it takes a little bit of the performance. So like it might create like a quick jump or something like that. So for you to avoid that, we suggest that you keep the default slides, and instead of changing the default slides, you can simply go into the location that you want and add a new slide. So you will keep all the default slides as a buffer to have like the milestone changes apply, and then there is a camera movement, right? So if you're planning on doing that, and I suggest that you do that only if you notice that there is like jumps happening in between the milestones. If you're planning on doing that, just go into any of these slides before you start creating your own, and then make the duration of that slide of all the default slides to be a little bit faster, so you won't spend too much time on that slide before going to the camera. Okay, I'm not sure if I explained that like very clearly, but I hope that you guys could understand this. Okay, awesome. So let me jump back into this. And these are quick best practice and tips for you to have a very smooth video export function. Okay, so let's go into 2 tips and tricks. That one I already talked about, but this other one, the locked objects, is something new. Actually, it's a new tool that we deployed, but it's kind of like on the minor adjustments. So I put them on the tips and tricks over here. But basically now we have a new hatching visual that helps you identify which objects are locked and which ones are not. So for example, if I go into this view over here and I start selecting these objects, like just to highlight them, I can see that they are not locked. But if I click on this object and I lock it, you see that there will be a hatching function happening over here. So now if I hold control and select a bunch of objects, I can see which objects are locked and which ones are not, right? So if I lock a few objects over here randomly, let's now select a bunch of them, and then you can see which objects are locked and which ones are not. So locked objects are objects they basically cannot edit, right? But you can still click on them and then unlock and start editing, right? So this is a great tip, but what is going to be make it even better is the adjustments that we are making on the next couple of weeks, right? So it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks. But basically, a single click in the lasso selection won't select locked objects anymore. This might not seem like a big thing, but once I start explaining, you're going to understand why it's a big thing. And different colors for selected objects, and also locking multiple objects at once. So I have over here a sandbox scenario that I can explain. This is on our testing environment, just showing a little bit on the thing. So showing what's coming next, right? So should have look at this
Hey,
right away.
quick question from Ben. So is that hatch only shown in editing mode, I suppose?
I am not sure. I believe so, but I think that Shane can comment on that on the chat if possible, Shane. But I'll confirm that and give you the answer later. Okay.
And
Um,
can you toggle off and on that hatch?
oh yeah,
When
that's
it's locked, it's
actually.
always hatched, or can you turn that off?
So this is over here. Let's see, save in view.
So
Now in
so it's
view
only when
mode.
it's
Oh yeah, in view mode you can also see the locking hatches. Cool. Awesome. So let's go back into this. This is a scenario showing like the next version of this locking feature. But basically, now you can see that there are different colors applied as well. So the objects will have like a more kind of like vivid color for selection. And this will help you select, like visualize the selected objects that have textures. But right now I cannot click on these beauties. I'm clicking once on these beauties and I'm not selecting them. And the reason why is because these beauties are locked. But if I double click, I can see that they are locked, but I now can select it, right? So this is something that will affect a lot of people because situations like this, where you have a model, oh, sorry, you have a scenario that you brought in a satellite image or you have a drawing that is projected on the ground, a lot of times you're going to be clicking on the ground to clear your selections or by mistake or anything like that. Right now you always select whatever is projected on the ground. However, if I lock this image and I try to click it once, it won't select that image anymore. If I click it twice, it will select. And if I right click, it will select. But the single click won't select this. Again, it looks like it's a minor thing, but it will help a lot people to understand what are the things they are selecting and like prevent that little small frustration you get when you're trying to select things and you don't know exactly where it's selected, right? So this is a great improvement in my opinion. Cool. So this will be available probably like in 1 or 2 weeks. So keep a heads up on that. Okay. And the last thing that I want to talk about is just an invitation, actually. It's not like a new feature, it's an invitation for all of you to check our roadmap, right? So we have a roadmap available for all of the users to go in there and comment and give us your opinion and anything like that. So let me show you how you can use this in cmBuilder. So I will send the link over here on the chat right now that you can all click and open on this link, but you can also access this roadmap from the support page. So if you're in the support central and you just type in roadmap, this roadmap will show to you. But of course, you have to be signed in to see the roadmap. So please make sure that you're signed in whenever you try to see this. So when you click on that, it will show the interactive roadmap over here in this support page, right? So this roadmap is one of the great ways for you guys to know what is coming next, what are the things that we are working at the moment, and what we are considering for the future. We try to keep this as updated as possible, but your vote really helps us understand the priority of where we should work on next, right? So you can see that there are some features over here that have 6 votes, 2 votes, 2, 1, and whatnot. Basically, for you to click to vote on a feature, you click on that card, and then you can just let us know how important this feature is for you. You're gonna see a little description of the feature over here. And then you can just type in over here, what are the reasons, right? So I like colors. So give me colors, right? So you can type in over here your email address and submit this vote. This will help us understand which people are asking for this feature, why, and then maybe contact you to have like more, to get more to get a better idea of like the context and the use cases that you have for that feature and see if we need to adjust anything on our end, okay? So use this roadmap as much as you can to keep informed about the next things that are coming. And we have this roadmap has 3 tabs over here on the top. The first one is the plan. So coming soon are the things that we are working at the moment. Plan are the things that we will start working very soon on that, right? And or we have already started, but we had to manage and like press pause a little bit and then come back. So and so on. The launched tab over here will show the recent updates that we've done, right? So you can see like what happened like on the last quarter, what happened on this quarter, and so on. And under consideration are things that are further on, like on our pipeline. So let's say like on the medium term to long term. So you can go in here and see like a collection of broader requests from other customers and so on and so forth. So it also helps us if you want to vote in each one of these, okay? You can also submit your own idea from here, but we have like many ways that you can do that as well. You can just come in here, do a feature request. Probably it's easier to do it from here, but it's a great way for us to stay connected and create that sense of like better communication of the development. Cool. I think that's it for today. Do we have any questions from the crowd?
Let me also just take this to shamelessly promote our next event. I popped in the chat here. So we are going to be having in a few weeks our next roundtable event. We're having some incredible panelists talking about all things construction technology in the future, things like construction and AI, and how companies like Clayco and Suffolk are looking at this, things about investment in startups, like Ellis Don is looking at this. So if you would like to join, that'd be great. This is more just talking about overall topics and a roundtable discussion. So I'll pop that in there. And we'll be sending out some more communication here, but you're the first to know. And yeah, while we are still here, we got 12 minutes. If there's any questions or anything someone's working on at the moment that could use some help, please fire away.
Yes.
Quiet crowd today. Quiet crowd today.
Yeah, but good crowd.
Last one we had a flurry. We had a flurry of questions last time, and less so this time.
Maybe I'm losing my mojo. I don't know. Am I?
No. I've had that issue too. That the issue that you had with the WebGL context. So some people have mentioned this. If you switch monitors, you can throw some stuff there. You can throw it off. That's what happens to me if I take from my extended view and I drop it down. It doesn't know which. Drop a cartoon.
Especially if you're working with like a lot of tabs. We've seen several sessions of cmBuilder open, and if you have those tabs with a lot of textured models as well, so that kind of like clogs in the the graphics card a little bit, you know. Okay, should I bring up the music?
Is the Oscar's music starting to play?
Not yet, but I can put it in here.
Oh, wait.
Whoa, no.
Stop the music. Stop the music. I have a completely unrelated question. If you're importing a drawing instead of a model, can you crop off the title block and surrounding parts of the drawing?
No, you cannot yet. So there is one thing that is coming for the drawing tool, the drawing overlay tool, that it's going to be like a very, very, very good improvement to help like new users understand how to use that tool, because I know that it's quite challenging for people that are just starting in understanding how to use it. However, we don't have a cropping feature yet, but we can put in a feature request over here. I don't know who asked for this, but like we can put I invite you to put in a feature request to let us know that this is important for you, so we can apply that in the next updates.
So that's Sandor. That's Sandor mentioned.
Here's an example.
And then I think we're.
Go ahead.
Just on the drawing, I think the next thing we have with drawings is the ability to upload a drawing, position and scale it, and then every other drawing will automatically come in at the same scale.
Yeah, there will be a lot of improvements on the drawing overlay tool. Like we'll have like a split screen that will allow you to choose the points. We've seen them like separated before you bring it to the same spot. You also the order of selection of points will be different. And I believe we also have like the preset scales applied to it. So you will be able to define a scale like 1 to 200, 1 to 100, and things like that. So these are the next things coming. And the cropping feature might be like something for a later update. Cool. Oh, one thing that I mentioned today was about the rendering of surfaces on 2 different sizes or sides, right? So look at this building over here, right? So when I look this building from this side, I can see, let me see on this that I'm editing. So when I look at this building from this side, I can see the texture and I can see the solid surface. But when I look at it from this side, it becomes completely transparent, right? So this is what I meant, that some models, they will show up for the same surface, they will show up things from one side, but not from the other, right? So for you to prevent that, you can edit your model and then click on this to show material on both sides. And now if I look from the other side, I see the inverted version of that same shape. Cool. So it's a good way for you to increase the quality of the graphics of your models.
Great. Any other
Okay,
questions before we start the music again? No? Okay, great. Well, we will send, if there's no other questions, you know how to get a hold of us. Show the chat if you don't mind. If you don't know where the chat is, I think everyone here knows where the chat is. But just pop questions in the chat, or you can organize sessions with us as needed. And we will be doing this again next month for the next user workshop. We're also open for topics. If people want us to focus on certain topics at the next workshop, just let us know.
Yes, you can just like reach out through the chat, say, hey, can someone talk about animations or custom terrain or anything that you like in the next workshop? We will greatly appreciate your opinion. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks,
awesome.
everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.